Hello there, thanks for joining us for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Schools were the focus of earthquake awareness activities today. But in school or out, remember, drop, cover, hold. Earthquake readiness is within our control, and we need to be prepared for what lies ahead. An earthquake is a reminder of the need for preparedness and the importance of being ready for any emergency. Stick around, there is much more to come. Please stay with us.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, January 17, 2024. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the multi-billion-dollar investment in the redevelopment of the Spanish Town Hospital is an example of government using the benefits of a good economy to deliver for citizens. Mr. Holness was speaking at the contract signing and groundbreaking ceremony for the $5.5 billion project in St. Catherine on Tuesday. He says that while the work is being undertaken through loan support and grant funds, the greater part of this investment is from the productivity of Jamaicans.
This government has managed your fiscal affairs, your revenues, the taxes that you pay, whether it is GCT, property tax, whatever tax. We have managed it in such a way that today, from our budget, we can say we will allocate $87 million from our budget. So yes, we do get some grants. Yes, we have to borrow. Still our responsibility, we're going to pay it back. But the greater part of this investment comes from the productivity of the Jamaican people.
Redevelopment of the Spanish Town Hospital falls under the Health System Strengthening Program, HSSP. The project will see the transformation of the 430-bed hospital into a state-of-the-art 6-story facility spanning more than 17,000 square meters. Patient care delivery at the facility will expand to new services, including urology, oncology, cardiology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, and psychiatry. It will be equipped with cutting-edge technology, including electronic access to patient medical records. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the state-of-the-art facility is in keeping with the country's 2030 vision for health and the ministry's 10-year strategic development plan.
The government of Jamaica is determined to transform the health system for patients and their families. Critical for health staff to motivate them and to get their best output given the facilities that will be enhanced, and of course for those who will use the facility. This health system strengthening program was designed to do just that.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has issued a strong warning to criminals looking to use the project as an opportunity for extortion. Mr. Holness says the work site will be protected by a joint security force.
I want to say it loud and clear. We have already started to work with the JDF and the JCF. This will be a military camp if it has to be. There will be no extortion here.
The Prime Minister declared that the hospital project would not fall victim to criminal elements. Asserting that taxpayers' money should not support criminal endeavors, Mr. Holness has given his commitment to eradicating any attempts at extortion, illegal control of the site, or misuse of funds.
Taxpayers' money can't come here, and people have name and list who don't come to work, collect pay, and then use it to buy God. Cannot happen. Cannot happen. This mustn't help build gangs. So those who have that in their minds, stay far from here.
The Ministry of Education and Youth will be exposing more schools this year to restorative mediation as it works to stem violent behavior among the student population. The initiative is a joint effort with the Ministry of Justice. In a statement to Parliament on Tuesday, Education Minister Favour Williams said the program would include conflict resolution training and benefit approximately 3,600 children from 120 schools. In addition, the ministry will continue to strengthen its safety and security in schools program with the installation of more CCTV cameras.
This year, an additional 8 schools have benefited from $15 million in grants to procure CCTV cameras that will improve safety and security at their schools. We're preparing the procurement to enable system-wide installations and coordination of security cameras across the education system.
This will be added to the 1,955 cameras already in place at 154 schools, according to research released by the government in July of last year. And finally, Jamaica's Consumer Confidence Index climbed to 174.7 points in the fourth quarter of 2023, the highest level since 2019. The finding was revealed in the fourth quarter 2023 indices of business and consumer confidence released by the Jamaica Conference Board, an arm of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. It indicates that 8.5% growth recorded in the third quarter suggests that consumers are beginning to sense that conditions have returned to the pre-pandemic era. On the other hand, the Business Confidence Index registered a decrease between the third and fourth quarters from 144.7 to 139.1 points, reflecting a downward change of minus 3.9%. This change is due to declines in firms' financial standing and profit performance between the two quarters. The information was derived from a nationwide survey conducted by Market Research Services Limited, involving over 600 consumers and 100 businesses between October and mid-December 2023. From the perspective of consumers, their observations of the Jamaican business environment have given them reasons to believe that business conditions will get better over the next 12 months. At the same time, fewer consumers believe that current jobs are in short supply, and more consumers expect jobs to be plentiful in 12 months. 49% are of the view that jobs are adequate. Both businesses and consumers remain adamant that crime and violence remain a major concern with respect to the nation's growth. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
All rise. The Ministry of Justice stood on business in 2023. We anticipate what's in store for this year, but before that, let's take a look at some of the major achievements in the past year.
The assignments covered and which will be detailed in this viewing are admissible as evidence of the Ministry of Justice's accomplishments in 2023. If it pleases, I submit that the Ministry has a strong case for managing the affairs of the last year with jurisprudence and the people's welfare as its motive. Efforts were dedicated at advancing the nation's judiciary.
The court has definitely become more efficient and more sustained over time.
Advocating for legislative agendas to take precedence.
I would like to engage and embrace as many of our citizens as we promote justice for peace and harmony.
And enhancing the effectiveness of alternative dispute resolution.
We want Jamaica to be a mediation center.
We'll now assess in detail the Ministry's record for 2023. All rise for an opening statement from the Honorable Chief Justice Brian Sykes as he recaps 2023's success for Jamaica's judiciary.
The major achievement is the maintenance of the backlog-free status of the parish courts and the sustained improvement of both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. In respect of the Supreme Court, we're up to 70% clearance rate overall. We saw improvement in the parish courts, civil and criminal division in particular, where those courts are backlog-free from the standpoint that under 5% of active cases are in backlog. In fact, it's under 3% in both civil and criminal.
Strengthening those results was the resumption of Saturday night court sittings and the implementation of a differentiated case management system to determine how long the case should take.
It has been introduced in respect of the criminal cases in the parish court system, and so far we have been able to reduce the time that cases take through the parish courts. The Court of Appeal has implemented it, and they are going to be doing further reforms in the coming term.
We now call to the forefront the Justice Minister for his recount of last year's successes.
In terms of legislation, I was happy to be able to pass and increase the age retirement for the DPP and the Auditor General. In terms of income, we wanted to do some additional empowerment to the income to let them work more efficiently. One area that is in the Parliament now is to grant immunity for those cases that they should not have prosecuted. We assisted the Transport Ministry and the Ministry of National Security with the road traffic. It has been a problem.
Further legislative action in 2023 included approval of the bill to facilitate electronic signatures in the court, commencing debate on the Independent Commission of Investigations Amendment Bill, and tabling bills for the Offences Against the Person Amendment Act 2023 and Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Act 2023. But I submit even more was done. Minister?
We did a fair amount of renovation of the courthouses. We certainly are quite proud of the Maypen renovation, and quite a few courthouses. We did significant work in them, and I would say for the past year, during 2023, all the courts were able to function, and we completed the offices of the Director of Public Prosecution.
Support was also given to the area of dispute resolution. Let's examine the evidence.
We were able to train an additional several thousand restorative justice facilitators. We were able to sensitize over 10,000 persons about restorative justice.
And to further bolster those restorative justice efforts, the ministry opened a social justice division for children.
The idea is that many of these children are victims of criminality and abuse. You need to get them in a facility, a space that they can speak about what happened to them.
The jury has returned a unanimous verdict based on all the evidence presented here today. It has been found that the Ministry of Justice has performed in favor of the people in 2023 and
in 2024, you should see continued improvement.
From the wailing of the sirens, the standstill of traffic, these are just a few of the things we encounter when an earthquake occurs. While some of us start to panic, others are wondering what is happening or even what to do. Stick around as we show you just how the security forces respond in an earthquake.
Jamaica is prone to earthquakes. The country's susceptibility to this natural disaster is because the island sits on a very active Caribbean plate margin. An earthquake is a sudden violent shaking of the ground as a result of movements within the Earth's crust or volcanic action. Although earthquakes can be devastating, the country's security forces are equipped to deal with any eventualities. Once an earthquake happens, both the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defence Force will initiate procedures and set up their communication centres to disseminate information. An individual from each entity would be the liaison officer between the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the security forces. This will aid in efficiently deploying individuals to affected areas.
In the initial phase, the JCF would establish a command post at the Police Emergency Communication Center, gather information as to what transpired or what occurred, and to provide that information to ODPEM.
The security forces will also provide safety, especially where dislocation happens.
We would be required to ensure that the area or areas affected are properly cordoned and secured. We'd have to ensure that routes leading to and from our major hospitals are clear, or to provide information as to the clearest and safest routes to and from those hospitals, and ensure that they are maintained in a safe manner for the emergency units to respond.
A key asset of the JDF in the aftermath of an earthquake is the Disaster Assistant Response Team, DART. This team includes specialized engineers, medical practitioners, and logisticians, among others.
They are so equipped that they can be moved to anywhere in the island and be self-sufficient for a period of time in assisting ODPEM or the government of Jamaica in general with any disaster.
The JDF has many capabilities. Its engineers can help with heavy equipment and search and rescue, while its medical personnel can be projected to other places across the island and assist the Ministry of Health with providing care to injured persons. The JDF also has an air wing that comes in handy during disasters such as earthquakes.
There are strategic aircrafts that we are able to use to hoist goods, equipment, etc. as required from one place to another. In an earthquake, the likelihood of the roadways being blocked or congested exists, and as such the movement of cargo, etc. for assistance will be reduced.
And if there is a fire after an earthquake?
Our aircrafts are also equipped to move personnel as well as to assist the JFB, particularly in areas where we might have fires, fires in urban areas, etc. We are so equipped to use what we call a Bambi bucket system to douse such fires.
The additional assets of the Defence Force provide further assurances to other sections of the island as well.
Now, in the JDF, all soldiers are disaster risk officers. So for those that are in the western side of the island, if the disaster is concentrated in the western side of the island, they have the basic training that is required to then start the process of assisting the ministry elements, ODPM, etc. There until our specialized elements are moved to that area.
Unfortunately, when disasters happen, sometimes there are unscrupulous individuals who carry out acts to capitalize on the vulnerability of others. Both the JCF and the JDF say they are able and willing to prevent crimes of opportunity.
Ensure that those who would want to seize the opportunity to commit crimes, such as looting, don't get that opportunity.
Of course, last but not least, the JDF assists the JCF with internal security, policing, so to speak, within the country. In an earthquake situation, there might be need for key point protection, protecting of key installations to prevent theft, etc. We are ready and able to deploy to assist the JCF to ensure that these things does not happen.
Jamaica has had several major earthquakes and tremors. The earthquake unit, which records seismic activities on the island, recorded a 5.4 magnitude earthquake on January 13, 1993. It was the most significant earthquake recorded since 1957. As a result of this earthquake, Jamaica experienced damage to houses, buildings, and other infrastructure. So although there are no specific times for earthquakes to strike, citizens and other individuals can be assured that the security forces are ready to act if a seismic activity occurs.
A lot of what we've been doing has been behind the scene. The work of the committee has been consistent. The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs has been assigned the most ambitious task.
Watch the review of Legal and Constitutional Affairs 2023 highlights inside Jamaica Magazine.
Owning a piece of land is the dream we all want to see become reality. From building a house to doing business or the mere fact of even turning your own key. That feeling is like no other. But there are circumstances that could lead to you being without a home. Find out more about land ownership and how you could become a landowner in this next feature.
Becoming a landowner is a significant feat for most people. That feeling of entitlement and success of being able to turn your own key and say, "Welcome to my home." This could be you, and the government is doing its part through the Adjudication Services Division of the National Land Agency.
Systematic registration is defined as the process of land titling through a determined jurisdiction, and it's performed on a commune-by-commune basis. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means that it's the methodical and orderly registration of parcels of land in a designated area using the adjudication process. Adjudication is defined as the process through which existing rights in a parcel of land are finally and authoritatively ascertained. Key things to note: adjudication doesn't alter existing rights or create new ones. It merely establishes what rights exist on ground.
Now that we've established the definition of these very important terms, let's get down to the meat of the matter. You have a piece of land, or you've been living on land that you do not have the title for, but have legitimate claims. Let's find out how you can go about becoming certified landowners utilizing the National Land Agency's adjudication services.
Systematic registration may be new to Jamaica, but it's certainly not new to the world. At the National Land Agency, we have a wealth of information on unregistered land parcels in Jamaica. So currently we know that the parishes with the lowest rates of registration are Portland and St. Elizabeth. So we'll definitely be targeting those two parishes. The mandate of the Adjudication Services Division is to assist landowners who have been in open, undisturbed and undisputed possession of their land for upwards of 12 years to claim ownership of their land via systematic registration using the adjudication process. There's a proposed adjudication process for systematic registration, and we have benchmarked other jurisdictions, and the adjudication process will entail the following. The first is the identification of an adjudication area, project area. The next step will look at what are the areas in those parishes where there's a lot of economic activity, or they're near town centers, probably farmlands, where these farmers will be able to benefit from having a certificate of title to use as collateral security. Once, an area has been identified, a recommendation will be made to the minister to declare that area as an area for systematic registration.
Surveying will go hand in hand with the adjudication process, so you can look out for the team from the Adjudication Services Division as they will be situated within the selected communities. These teams will be visiting households parcel by parcel, interviewing landowners and investigating whether or not they have been in open, undisturbed and undisputed possession of their land for over 12 years.
The adjudication record, it will be published in a daily newspaper circulating not only in Jamaica but across the diaspora. So it's not only notice to community members and notice to Jamaica, but it is notice to the world that persons are claiming to be the owners of land. Now, let me start with the positive. Where there are no objections to the adjudication record, as the director, I'll be able to issue what is known as an adjudication certificate. And this adjudication certificate will be deemed to be conclusive proof of ownership. This is now the documentary proof that the person on that certificate is in fact the owner of the land. Where there are objections, however, All these objections will be referred to the adjudication committees, and adjudication committees are established in accordance with Section 9 of the Special Provisions Act to determine ownership rights in land.
Now that I've given you the basic information that you need to regularize your status as a landowner, it's now up to you to make that step. All the best.
The first step of wanting to get empowerment and be empowered is you must never be satisfied with the way you are. You must always be seeking to improve. So you must always be seeking more, seeking better, because you can always do better. You can always improve. And I believe that sometimes in our society, we don't always encourage people to improve. Even in our household, we tend to say, well, you're just like your daddy, meaning to say you're not going to be better than what your father or parent has achieved. You go on like you're better than people, meaning to say that we must all stay at the lower stage and not seek to improve ourselves. In fact, you know, there is this thing in our culture that makes it appear as if someone is trying to improve themselves, they are doing something bad. That is true, right? When what we should be doing is to applaud people who work hard and achieve. Right? Yes, that's what we should do. But somehow in our culture, we have turned it upside down. And it is very pervasive in the classroom, because you see what happens is it provides cover for people who are lazy and people who don't want to change and people who are set on a pathway to failure. So they don't want anyone doing better than the average, because then they will have to put out a little bit more effort. Now, if that is allowed to be the common standard in the society, then our society will never improve. So one of the things I want to give you today is that you must never be ashamed of success. And you must always seek to be the best at what you do, to be excellent.
This is where we close the chapter on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us tomorrow on this station at the same time. Until then, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for this and more. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.